There we go. So, when you think of the energy body, try to remember that it's just completely interwoven with your physical body. That it's not something that, we've got this part of us and this part of us and this part of us. And in our intellectual minds, when we try to learn things, it's nice and easy to kind of separate things into segments, and compartmentalize. And that's tends to be how our brain works, but it's not reality of how we are in our form. Um, so what's to me the beautiful thing about our energy body is that it isn't so contained. Like we have this physical form contained within our skin, and we are like this little package that walks around the world, all by ourselves. But our energy body is truly the way we connect to all things, that we become when we immerse ourselves and feel into our energy systems. We recognize a little more easily the web that we are within, the true interconnectedness of ourselves to all things. So, when you feel connected, like when you have a moment where you feel really grounded and you feel really present and you feel really in your body and connected to the world and to the people that are around you. This is the sensing of our energy body. So if you do ever feel like I don't know what my chakras are, and this is just purely like a diagram on a wall that I'm looking at of chakras, that it's not something internal. Remember that it's very much internal and that you do feel it. You just don't maybe have language or I don't know, just we're not taught to perceive our energy fields. Um, Yet they are there and we do perceive them all the time. It's just not always so clear as like, here's my arm. So I said last week that we'll go through the main chakras of the body, the seven main chakra systems, but also remember that these are just kind of like I always think of roundabouts when you're driving, it's like this convergence that has movement, but it's not a stuck and static thing like one, two, three, but rather it's this field of constantly moving and shifting. But it's a center, it's a place where there's a hub of energy connection. So um, remember that it's not like isolated segments of your energy field, but it's just kind of a place where there's a lot of convergence of energy. So the root chakra, the base of our spine, it's called Muladhara. Mula means root, and I think you've probably heard the term Mula Bandha in the bandhas of the body. I'll explain that in a moment. But Mula just means root, and Dhara means to support or a base. So Muladhara is your root or base chakra in your body. And physically, it's in our pelvis, kind of the root of our spine, the base of us. If you think of how you're sitting right now and that you have this kind of base of support of your pelvic floor and your pelvis and the base of your spine, this is the center of this energy hub in our body. And each chakra corresponds to sounds and to colors and to all things. And at the end, after we move each day, we'll move through one of the chakras, and at the end we'll do a meditation that kind of aligns the energy of all of them. But for today, we'll just kind of focus on this Muladhara chakra. So the essence energetically of it is to feel grounded and rooted, and to feel safe. I think when we have this sense of feeling security and safety and a sense of connection to our community, and we feel safe as a community, a sense of belonging to each other, a sense of resilience with each other, stability with each other. This is really a healthy place where when we feel this is a healthy Muladhara. And of course, there's just so many things that can take us away from feeling balanced in this chakra, especially in the way the world is right now. There's so much instability, and there's so much that pushes us into our fight or flight instinctual survival modes that makes us move away from everything I just said, this stability. So it's really important to tend to the Muladhara when there's turbulence around you, to help you ground and feel rooted. So, how you can tell your Muladhara is out of balance, you could feel very flighty, you could feel lethargic or stuck. Think of the ways you feel when you're in a fight or flight scenario. So that can show up in a lot of different ways: depression, anxiety, distraction, the feeling that you're always rushing. Um, Physically, it can show up as like a sense of heaviness in your pelvis, or lethargy, or not being able to kind of like be springy in your legs. It can come with a feeling of constipation and just this heaviness in the lower body, or a sense of disassociation where we just don't even feel our lower body very much. We're not really grounded and connected to the earth. So our yoga practice always, it doesn't have to be a focus on Muladhara, because every time we step onto our mat, we have a practice that supports Muladhara. Anytime we move and we feel embodied and we feel grounded to the earth, we're supporting this part of ourselves. So the standing poses of yoga, the work that opens up our legs and our hips, the poses that keep us close to the ground, things that open up our pelvis, things that help us balance. These are things we do all the time in our yoga practice, and they're very much the way that we can, kind of stimulate and discharge this part of us. So as we practice, let's just have a focus on paying attention to this part of your body and down through your legs and feeling the earth, getting a sense of grounding. Okay. All right, so close your eyes and sit up straight and tall, and find a sense of comfort where there's a grounding in our pelvis. Okay, and maybe rock a little bit forward and back until you feel as if you know where this centered place is, that you're not listing off to the left or the right, or you're not rolling forward or back, but that we have a firm ground of our sit bones. And when you bring your mind's eye downward, don't just think about your pelvis, but your legs too. So, can your legs soften a little bit? Is there a way for you to sit where your legs are relaxed and melting a little bit into the earth? And sometimes when I'm working with my root chakra, I try to imagine that my pelvis is opening up into the earth, like roots spreading out in a tree. Or sometimes I think of it like my pelvis is becoming the ocean, this big broadness of expanse. So whatever element, I mean, certainly the Muladhara is really geared toward earth element and the color red, but really work with whatever visual helps you get really spacious and grounded in your pelvis and legs. Try to melt yourself to become one with the earth. Sometimes you can visualize even a taproot, where you have one centered deep root like a tree, or a tail that can kind of go deep down into the earth and anchor you. So, whatever visualization you're taking, let's drop our energy downward and feel this deep, deep connection to the earth below us. So Mula Bandha is the binding of our Mula chakra, where we kind of draw our pelvic floor in and up and have this sense of stability. So don't do this yet, but just for a moment, sense the pelvic floor. And before we kind of move a little bit in the pelvic floor to create a sensing of this Mula Dara and Mula Bandha, first just expand. Let your pelvic floor widen and broaden and sense what you're sitting on. Start to feel your way into your breath. Notice if your breath tends to live high, drop your breath down. See if you can touch the pelvic floor with your breath. Our pelvic floor expands and widens as we inhale. And after a couple of rounds of just noticing the diaphragm and the belly and the pelvic floor when you breathe, let's gently, just ever so gently, try to sense the movement of Mula Bandha, the movement of the pelvic floor. So as you inhale, expand and widen like a billowing out, just like your ribs are doing, a billowing down and out like your diaphragm. And then on your exhale, see if you can sense that drawing in and up. And you might sense it like a flower opening and closing. It doesn't have to be anything super strong. Don't think of like steel cages or anything like that, but just a gentleness of expansion on the in-breath and a drawing in on the out-breath. You might even think of just the amount of physical effort that this Mula Bandha takes. Think of it like as if your pelvic floor was your hand pulling a tissue out of a tissue box. So you're just drawing that tissue up. Okay, so it's that gentle. It's not something super forceful in the body, but rather just a fluidity of movement of the pelvic floor. Inhale to release and expand, and exhale to draw in and up. Notice if this is confusing for you. Sometimes we tend to want to breathe in to kind of suck up the pelvic floor and lift upward, like our breath can pull, our inhale can pull our pelvic floor up, but really it's just the opposite. We want our pelvic floor to drop down and wide as we inhale and draw in and up as we exhale. Learning how to release is just as important as learning how to contain. Notice that your core muscles probably are working in tandem, and this is normal and natural and good. Right. And when you feel ready, bring your hands to your heart, and let's just remember we have a whole body, not just a pelvic floor. Okay. Breathe well. And then offer an intention around Muladhara. Where do you need some shoring up, some stability, some grounding, some safety, some belonging? Where in your life do you feel the need for this? And can you support your physical body in this? Not just your energetic body in this. And then release your hands. And let's find our way onto our back. All right, so remember, any postures that set you close to the ground will support this sense of grounding. So as we come onto our back, notice already, what changes when you lie down? Do you have the sense of support? Can you feel the support of the earth? Imagine your whole body kind of drinking in that support, the whole back body. You can imagine roots from your back dropping into the earth, or the earth being a bed to support you. Just relax your legs and let them get heavy. Notice the bones, how heavy your pelvis is, how heavy your thigh bones are. Can you feel the weight of your big bones? Okay. All right, and then stretch your arms overhead and let's move here, lengthening through your sides and feeling some reaching
full body stretch. And then draw your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And hang on to the knees and do some circling. And just notice the femur bones relaxing into the hip joints. Soften your pelvis a little bit. Can you feel the base of your spine? And let's circle the other way. Try to pay attention to that interweaving sensation of physical and energetic, that the two are bonded and inseparable. Let's open up your knees away from the middle and bring them back in, and just enjoy the range of motion in your hip joints. So important for those first two chakras, really. But since we're talking about Muladhara today, we'll talk about our second chakra next time. But this, the movement of our pelvis, the movement of our hips really matters in being able to discharge and contain energy, keep things balanced and flowing. Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Let's move around in our feet. And remember, even our feet have little minor chakras in them. Our legs are the extension of this Muladhara, where we tend to touch the ground a lot, is through our feet, through our legs. Cross the right knee over to the left and take a twist. Any depth of the twist that feels good, any subtle movements that you want to make. Find your breath. All right, and come back to center, knee into your chest. Pick up your head and give a snug hug. And then let's switch sides. Left knee in, right leg long on the ground. Move about in your feet again. Roll your ankles, wiggle your toes. Find some freedom. Notice your head. Let it rest down. Shoulders are soft. A good tight squeeze of the knee and hip. And then when you're ready, cross that left leg over to the right. Stretch open into a twist, however deep you want to be. Sometimes you can grab a block and put your leg on a block so you can rest a little bit more. Just see what feels good for your body. All right, and then expand yourself open. Stretch your limbs wide. Big breath here. Exhale, knees into your chest. A snug little ball. One more time, expanding open. Legs are wide, arms are wide. Exhale, drawing back in. Put your head down onto the ground. Put your right thigh over your left thigh, or a reverse pigeon, whichever you're in the mood for. Draw your knees in, feeling a sense of openness through your glutes. Big breaths, relax. Feel how close you are to the ground. Enjoy that we're on the ground. All right, lift your legs straight up in the air and hold the backs of your legs. Let's flex and point your feet here. So you're just feeling your way into some mobility of your feet. Root your femur bones like they're stakes that can drop down deep into the earth. And then when you're ready, left thigh over right, draw your knees in, a little bit of mobility. If that feels right, you can always do reverse pigeon pose instead. Breathing deeply. And put your feet down onto the ground. Windshield wiper your knees a little bit. Okay. And then after a couple passes, drop to the left with your knees. Open your right knee as far as it'll go before dragging the left leg with it. So we kind of like find just a quick moment of a Supta Baddha Konasana before we bring the leg over to follow. Okay, so just letting our pelvis open up here, breathing deeply. All right, soles of the feet together. You can always put a block or a fist underneath your outer hips if you need it. Just breathe into the pelvis. See if you can access the deep low belly. Bend your knees. And bring your knees into your chest, rocking a little bit, swaying. And we'll come into a full happy baby pose. So grab your feet, open up your back, drop your knees toward your rib cage, and feel free to move. If you want to rock a little bit, rock. If you want to be still, be still. Let your low back open up, breathing well. All right, and then release the legs. Starfish your body out one more time. Exhale, knees to chest, and roll to your side. Okay, come up onto your hands and your knees and feel that sense of grounding. Now, let's see if we can just add a little bit of this pelvic floor movement where we find expansion and contraction on the breath. So an inhale to an arching of the back. Well, pelvic floor is wide open, and then exhale and round the spine and see if you can draw that tissue up and in. And just going back and forth between a cat-cow. Of course, noticing your full spine, but see if you can just put a little bit of emphasis on what's happening in your pelvic floor. Notice the rippling through your vertebrae. Such a good thing to get our spine moving. So invigorating. It helps our energy meridians flow every time we move. Remember, motion is lotion, not just for all the physical tissues in our body, but for our energy systems as well. The more we move, the more fluid and dynamic we can get in our energy fields where we can release and discharge and keep things flowing. All right, let's stretch back to a child's pose. Take your hips way back, walk the hands far out in front of you, and drop some weight into your pelvis. What does it feel like in your pelvic floor when you breathe here, when you're in some compression in your hips and knees? All right, walk the hands over to one side, stretching through your shoulder and your ribs, and open up through your upper body here a bit. Okay, walk your hands to the other side, feeling that length and stretch. Full breaths. Okay, coming back to center, come up onto all fours, wiggle around in your spine. And let's go ahead and find a twist here, reaching your one arm up in the air, exhale, dropping your shoulder down. Notice when your hips are, when your knees are hip width apart, your pelvis is broad here. See if you can let your breath travel, even though there's some constriction through your spine. And then inhale, bring that arm back up. Hand comes down onto the ground. Let's switch sides. Arm high, drop it under, and breathe. All right, reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Curl your toes under. Let's lift to a dog pose. Feeling your way into that extension, let's pedal your feet. Remember, wherever you're touching the ground is giving you that sense of earthing, of grounding, of rooting. So, of course, feel it in your feet, but also in your hands. Give yourself over to that weightedness of the earth. Yield. And then push off to give that the support of the earth into the body. Find your breath. See if you can melt your exhales. Give yourself the feeling of belonging to the earth. Can you feel that you are grounded, that there's a sense of safety in this pose? We're very close to the ground. Notice the width and spaciousness of the pelvic floor. Can you breathe there? And then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, a forward fold. Relax your neck. Wobble your head a little bit. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through your spine. Feel your femur bones rise up and back, extending through your heart, root through your feet. Can you feel the groundedness? Then exhale, and as you fold and get a little closer to the earth, feel your head drop down and notice how grounding it can feel to be so close to the ground. One more time, a halfway lift, extending open through your body. Then exhale and melting again. Push through your feet, rising up. Bring the arms to the sky, feeling extension, openness. Let's cactus our arms, feel the back body. Exhale, round in, chin to chest. Inhale, up you go again. And then exhale in a big swan dive forward. Relax your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up your spine. Exhale to melt. Step back to a dog pose and feel your way into the groundedness of this pose again. Root to rise. Find your breath. Melting your head. Let's come forward into a plank. Finding that sense of sturdiness, drop your shoulders, root through your hands and your feet, breathing deep. All right, we'll put our knees down onto the ground, find the ground. Roll the shoulders a little bit here. Inhale for a cobra pose, open chest, melting to come back down. And again, rising up. Exhale to come back down. Come up onto all fours, wiggle around in your spine, and let's find our way to come onto our back. And we're going to do a couple of bridge poses. Bridges, they're very grounding, even though they're also very heart opening. They can be very grounding. So feel the roots of your feet. Okay. Find your breath. We're going to do a little bit of just pelvic movement within this. So we're going to start with a lot of fluidity and then we'll hold bridge. So first, we're going to lift the right hip up and then follow with your left hip. Drop the right hip down, follow with the left. Just let some mobility start happening in your pelvis as you kind of move them your two sides, two hemispheres asymmetrically. Right is the leader, left is the follower. All right, one more time. Lifting the right hip up, followed by the left. Dropping the right hip down, followed by the left. Pause here on the ground. Breathing deeply. Notice your back body making contact. Notice the soles of your feet making contact. Now we'll switch directions, starting with the left. Lift the left, follow by the right. Drop the left, followed by the right. So just getting some mobility in the pelvis itself, recognizing that we have two halves of our pelvis. How's your breath? Does this feel like a more natural pattern to you, or did the other direction feel more natural to you? And then rest for a moment. Just let your pelvis ground. Feel your spine, feel your head, feel your feet. When we're ready, we'll lift into a full bridge now. So lifting your hips, rock onto the tops of your shoulders, get a fullness in the openness of your chest. Root your arms, root your legs, root your shoulders. Your feet are grounding all four corners. Big belly breaths. Feel the strength of your pelvis, your glutes, your legs, a lot of muscular energy. This will help you discharge and kind of contain both. You get to have both a sense of releasing some energy through effort as well as containing yourself through effort. And then relax your legs. Put your pelvis down, Bring your knees to your chest and rock a little bit, just releasing your back, releasing your glutes. Let's open up the knees and do some circling like we always do in the beginning. Okay. And then spread open to a star, and then draw your knees in, roll to your side, and come up to your hands and your knees again. Look how close you are to the ground. Feel the ground. Move through a cat-cow. See if you can breathe the pelvic floor. When you feel ready, you can curl your toes under and lift to a dog pose. For this time, take your legs wide to the edges of the mat, maybe even turn your toes in if that feels good, and just release the inner groins and the hamstrings. Feel the lifting of your sit bones, the grounding of your hands and your feet. That wide base of support, it's very stable. See if you can sense how stable you are. All right, and then walk your feet forward and come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift, extending through your spine. Exhale and melt. We'll step our left foot back, so come to a lunge like we normally begin with our legs. Okay, and let's find a bending and a straightening of our front knee. Move with your breath, sense into your legs. Okay, it's such important parts of our body to help us feel grounded. And then when you feel ready, let's place our back knee down onto the ground. Toes can curl under or lay flat. Root through your front foot. Drop down and stretch through the front of that hip. There was a study that came out of, I think it was University of San Francisco, but I could be wrong on that. That talks about when someone's feeling anxious, flighty, that fight or flight kind of vibe, that the one of the best things that you can do to help somebody like that is to press onto their legs to ground them. So have them stand up, maybe against a wall, and you can kind of compress their legs, starting at their thighs and moving down, or having someone lie down and press down on their thighs with your hands all the way down to their feet. And even yourself, we'll do it ourselves in just a moment. Let's come into a twist here. Find your breath. So remember, the legs are a very big part of us feeling grounded. So if you ever feel a little flighty or a little unstable, remember that it's not just about, first tool, always the breath, but you can also find a tool such as grounding your legs. So let's lift your back knee up off the ground, walk your back foot forward for a fold. So even if you don't have someone to help you, you can come now into a little bit of a modified chair pose and put your hands right at the roots of your thighs and just give some pressure into your legs and kind of walk down with the heels and the wholeness of your hands walking down your thighs, giving your body a cue like, yes, here I am. I'm on the ground, I'm supported, I'm safe. This is a very good cue of safety. Something as simple as a weighted blanket or having some weight on you, like having a pet sit on your lap. There's lots of ways for you to help yourself feeling grounded. Make sure you go all the way down to your feet. All right, and then inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through your spine. Stretch open the backs of your legs. Release and let go. Let's step our left foot in front, right foot behind. Come to a lunge here. Hands on blocks. Start to root your legs and breathe and move. Okay, we'll straighten the front leg a bit. Bow your head if you'd like. Find the rhythm of your breath. Notice your legs, the sensing of the ground. Here you are on the ground, nice and rooted. How's your breath? Can your breath help you with this feeling? Long, steady exhales. When you feel ready, place your back knee down onto the ground. Open up through your spine, maybe bring your hands to blocks or to your leg. Feel that hip flexor open up big. Rooting through your front foot, feeling that stability. And let's take a twist while we're here. And bring your right arm over somewhere on your leg. Breathing deeply. And coming back around. And lift your back knee up off the ground. Let's walk either back to a dog pose or to an uttanasana, whatever helps you feel grounded, whichever forward fold you prefer. And then if you're in dog pose, walk your feet forward and come all the way up to a standing pose. All right, so let's find a Tadasana. Ground yourself. And so feel your feet. You can rock a little bit forward and back if that feels nice to your body. Sense into your mountain pose. Unlock your knees. Exquisitely feel the soles of your feet. What are they sensing? Can you breathe into the pelvic floor? Inhale to widen the pelvis. Exhale, closing the flower or drawing that tissue out of a tissue box and up. Whatever kind of visual helps you to engage the pelvic floor gently. Can you feel that fluidity of the pelvis as you breathe? Sense into your grounding. Let's take our legs wide on the mat. A wide stance always is a stable stance, unless you go super wide. But, notice before we even do a standing pose, what it feels like to have. So don't push your pelvis forward, no hands on hips with pelvis pushed forward to kind of lock ourselves into our back. Draw your femur bones back, slightly unlock your knees. And just notice, when you unlock joints, when your low back, your pelvis, your hips, and your knees and your ankles are all unlocked, that we have a better conduit to the ground through our pelvis, down this Muladhara chakra, into our legs to the earth. Okay, and just for fun to feel the difference, lock your knees out, push your pelvis forward, put your hands on your hips and press forward. And a lot of times, this is a bit awkward because our legs are wide, but we stand like this with our legs a little closer a lot. And we think this is efficient and we think we're stable. But notice now, if you've just lost all that connection to the earth, the yielding capacity, your pelvic floor probably can't move very much. And then come back with your hips so that your femur bones are drawing back, your knees are unlocked, your shoulders are over your hips. And now sense your contact with the ground. Do you feel that energy movement from the earth, the yielding down and the earth giving you something back? Okay, let's accentuate this. Turn your feet out a little bit more and we'll move through some goddess poses. Arms up, connect to the whole body. Exhale, and don't feel like you have to go super deep. Just drop and then rise again. Go to a place where your joints feel healthy and stable, where you can stay upright with your body, but you have a sense of low center of gravity. And this time we'll stay. Okay, so don't feel like you have to go super deep. Go as deep as you want, but you can be very light in this pose. Just giving ourselves a sense of, I know the earth. I've got the earth and the earth's got me. Ground yourself. Feel the roots of your feet. Spread your toes around. Feel your chest stay over your pelvis instead of leaning forward.
legs are working. So there's strength here to give you that stability. All right, coming back up to a standing star. Turn your right foot out and let's come into Virabhadrasana. A sense of a proud warrior. Feel how the wide legs and the sense of your pelvis dropping into your feet, a big base of support. So we're nice and stable. Reach your heart out to your hands and feel your courage. This is a very safe posture that brings us up into a sense of I'm safe, I'm stable. And reverse your warrior. So you open up your ribs and then straighten that leg and we'll turn to the other side. Okay. Finding your breath, finding your way into a Virabhadrasana on this side. Open the heart, stretch to the hands, root pelvis to legs. So instead of just feeling your feet, see if you can sense the pelvis down to the feet, that we have this broad base to support us. Can you breathe deeply and feel your pelvic floor and core as you breathe? And like I said, you don't have to go super deep into these poses to really sense your feeling of groundedness. Turn your feet forward now, wide legs, and we'll come into Pasrita. So you can put your hands on the ground. I have my forearms on blocks, whatever feels right for a deep, wide forward fold. Root the four corners of your feet. Lift the femur bones up and back, but the knees stay unlocked. Enjoy the inversion. Hands back up onto blocks, heel toe your feet in. Coming to an Uttanasana one more time. Open up your back body. Let's come back to a dog pose. Hands on the ground, step your feet back. One more time, yield, push, and reach. Move with your breath. We'll bring our feet forward and we're gonna come into garland pose. So a lower, deeper squat. You can come and sit on a block if that is, better for your pelvic floor and your stability to have a little support of a block underneath you. If your knees don't bend deeply or your hips don't bend deeply, that's okay. Just find however deep into a squat that you can go. Okay. You can even sit in a chair and put your feet up on blocks so that you just kind of get into the depth of the pose as much as you can. And then if you can get your heels down, that's great. And if you can't, you can put a blanket underneath your heels to give you a little lift. Find your breath. Just a deep squat. Drop your hips down, down, down. For countries, Western countries that people sit in chairs all day long instead of squatting, this ends up being a challenging position instead of a restful position. But in a lot of cultures where this is, a standard position every day, where you spend a lot of time squatting, it actually is a very restful position. And once you train your body to be here, it's very restful. It's not a strength, like a hard, challenging pose if you do it all the time. All right, we'll come forward, bring our knees onto the ground, find your way to a cat-cow again, finding your breath. All right, we're gonna come into a pigeon pose. So grab some support. You can always do a reverse pigeon if that's better for your body. Right leg forward first, left leg's back, square the pelvis. Check in with your back leg and make sure it's straight back instead of out to the side. Your toes can curl under or lay flat, whichever feels good. Just make sure your knee is in a good, happy place. Lifting and lengthening through your spine. Then when you feel ready, you can take this into a deeper posture by lengthening your spine forward. Put your head on a block or something. Okay, squaring the hips. Try not to list over into the right hip. We're taking the pelvis into a neutral position. And notice if you want to kind of tuck your glutes under or pull your pelvic floor up. Can you widen the pelvic floor and sit bones? Can you breathe into the pelvis? Can you relax your skull? You feel ready to come out to the other side. You can move through a dog pose if you'd like, or you can just switch sides. However you want to transition. If you're on your back, you can just put your feet down, rest in neutral for a moment, and then come to the second side. If you're swinging your leg forward to a pigeon pose, make sure you take a moment to square up your hips again. Sometimes that swinging of a leg forward can kind of get you offline. Squaring the pelvis, wide sit bones, lengthening through your spine, resting your head. It's a very deep pose, or it can be, so make sure that you're letting the layers peel away with the breath. Check in with any area of your body that's gripping or tensing and see what you can do to melt. Notice the difference between having muscular engagement to support and how different that is from tensing, guarding. When we feel unsafe, we tend to guard. So being vigilant to look for guarding in your body is a great way of just checking in with the energetics of your body. A lot of times it's not even about something physical, but it's about something emotional or something energetic where we feel the need to self-protect, guard. And so scan and notice if that's living in you and see what you can release. Offer yourself trust. See what it feels like to just lean a little deeper into safety within yourself. When you're ready to come out of there, we're going to find our back. Grab your strap. And we're going to take two legs in the strap straight up. Okay. Have a little pull, a little tug on the strap so your legs have a sense that they're being rooted down. Breathing well. Maybe you want to have a moment to just flex and point your toes. That might feel nice. And then just enjoy the rooting, the grounding.
there are so many poses we could have added into the practice today to help us grounding. More standing poses, a balanced standing pose, spent some time in leg up the wall pose. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do to help you. So always remember to reach into your toolbox if you have, or if you're having a day where you feel ungrounded for whatever reason, remember the toolbox of your yoga practice and just instinctually, intuitively do what feels right to you. Take the soles of your feet together, grab your two blocks, put them underneath the outer legs so that you have support. Even if you don't feel like you need it, take it so that we give the cue to our body that we're supported and protected. Um, Open up your pelvis, soles of the feet together. Do whatever you want with your arms. Fill your breath. Empty your breath. You can even put your hands onto your hips or to your pubic bone or your low belly. Just feel this sense of grounding. And remember that, this area of our body, our pelvic floor, the root of our pelvis, the root of our spine, goes in three dimensionality. So it's not just the front, it's not just the bottom of the cylinder of our pelvic floor, but it's also the back, sense into the back of your pelvis as well. Melt your body. Remember to take deep, full breaths. Feel the back of your body grounding, especially on your exhales. All right, and then pick up your knees. Take your feet wider, knock your knees together. So a little internal rotation of the femur bones. All right, feet are neutral. Let's lift the hips, scoot them right, knees up, drop them left, and twist. Pick up your knees, scoot your hips the other way, knees up and over to the right, twisting left. All right, come on up and lie down for Shavasana. You can always put your legs up the wall if that's more grounding to you. Whatever you're choosing, however you're choosing to support yourself, notice the weight of your body. So anything that's touching the ground right now is your opportunity to yield. Let's begin to deepen our breathing. And as you do, breathe into your pelvis again, not just into your upper body, but feel the breath move through you. See if you can sense the feeling of your breath traveling down your legs and into your feet. Invite movement in whatever way serves you. And finding your way to your side. And then eventually up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment when you get to a seat to just bring your hands either to your low belly or to your thighs or your knees. Give yourself just the slightest bit of weight. Visualize your rooting energy again. Take a deep breath into your belly, your pelvis. Maybe just say some words to yourself of, I am safe, I am stable, I belong. Whatever kind of comes to you that is a good mantra for this sense of Muladhara grounding you and rooting you. And whenever you feel pulled away from your center in any way, remember that you can always bring yourself back. The earth is always there to support you. Bring your hands together and let's send our rooted energy, this heightened awareness and flow of our Muladhara chakra. And let's see if we can send it through the earth to everywhere. Okay, so just give humanity some grounding. We all touch the same planet. I offer this sense of belonging to everyone. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.